Hello, everybody. Grace chatting here again, talking about how to survive living with an alcoholic. And we're on to part 5, which is about growing up. Grow up. Now, I'm about to make what may appear to be a few sweeping statements, and at first you might not agree with me, but then if you take time to think about it, you may agree with me. But I'm not really bothered about you agreeing with everything I say. You don't have to. I just want you to consider what I'm saying. And remember, for those of you watching, you're not all the same. Many of you have got common experiences with the kind of difficulties and challenges you face living with someone who's alcoholic or alcohol dependent. But you will all have had different histories, and actually your partners will be quite different as well. So what I say isn't a one size fits all. So please allow for that if I say something and you think, oh, well, that doesn't apply to me. But bear in mind, it may apply to many other people. So I'm speaking to a very broad audience because the whole business of living with someone with an alcohol problem, and in fact, alcohol problems, are just, they don't just happen to one particular group of people. They cut across all social classes and cultures. There's no respecter of persons, alcoholism. And actually, most people who become alcoholic didn't ask to have that problem. Those of us who are social drinkers are very fortunate that we can have a glass of wine with a meal, or have a few glasses of whatever our favourite tipple is at a party or a wedding, and we don't feel that we have just got to keep drinking for the rest of the day or the night or the weekend or the week even. It is a problem. But I'm talking to you who live with the problem and for whom it all becomes a problem. So I just want to make that clear, that you're all in different circumstances. I wonder, did you manage to get your journal? Because it really will come in very useful in the weeks ahead. So just a reminder to get your journal. And this part 5 is called Grow Up. And why is it called Grow Up? Well, most of you, many of you, I don't know what the percentage of you, but certainly a large percentage of you will have grown up in a family where you had an alcoholic parent, probably an alcoholic father. Or if you didn't, then perhaps in a family where there was some kind of chemical dependency or dysfunction. The family that I grew up in, actually, they were teetotal. I grew up with, I was raised by 2 women who weren't related to me. They just took care of me. It's a long story. And they actually didn't drink at all, but it was a dysfunctional family insofar as I didn't have parents, and it was a temporary situation. And it's a whole other video, the story of my history. But certainly there was a lot of emotional neglect just in the circumstances of my birth and growing up, and that had an effect on my self-esteem, which was quite low, and then in my choice of partner and the life that I lived, because I hadn't really grown up. So I want to say something here about the process of growing up. We all start off dependent upon our parents or our caregivers, who give us more or less good care. Often we are just given care. If we're lucky, we're taken care of insofar as we're fed and clothed, and all our physiological and safety and care needs are taken care of. But often our emotional needs are not cared for, they're not addressed. And that's usually because our parents or caregivers never had their emotional needs addressed, and they actually don't know how to meet emotional dependency needs. Now, some of the dependency needs that all babies, infants, young children have is to be held, to be touched, to be gazed at, you know, for someone to look into your eyes and say, "You are so beautiful, you're a very clever girl, and I love you very much, and you're very special." Now, the chances are many of you watching this video haven't, as a child, had anyone look at you in the eye and tell you, "I love you so much, and you are so special, and you're a really special girl." You know, that kind of connection, it connects to our soul, to our emotions, to our feelings. It gives us some sense of okayness. Now, if we grew up in a family that was troubled, or where, you know, they had their issues, fill in the gap yourself, often we didn't have those needs met. So when we don't have our dependency needs met, no matter how old we are still looking to have them met. So, but the ideal is that we do have them met, and when we have them met, then we can move on to be independent. Now, some people would classify themselves as independent as young adults or adults, insofar as that they have left home and they live in their own home or accommodation of some kind, that they have work, they are self-sufficient economically, and they look after themselves. But often, even though you may be very competent and self-sufficient, emotionally, often people are not emotionally independent. The ideal is to move from dependent to independent, and when you are properly independent, including emotionally independent, then you move to being interdependent. And ideally, for relationships to work, you get two independent people, and I include emotionally independent in that, and they get together and they become interdependent. Now, in the case of an alcoholic, by virtue of the fact that he's dependent on alcohol or a substance, is not independent. And insofar as you are dependent on that person as well, you are not emotionally independent. So invariably, scenarios that involve two people whose lives are enmeshed with each other's and they're going around in circles trying to get their needs met, and it just doesn't happen, they are emotionally dependent or codependent. So I've called this video Grow Up. The thing is, this situation that you find yourself in is what is commonly known as the adult-child syndrome, where you are a grown-up, you're an adult, you may be very intelligent, you may be very competent, you may be a really nice person, but if you're in the kind of situation that you're in, then you haven't grown up. You're an adult child. So in the videos coming up, I'm going to look at how can you fill in your developmental gaps? How can you identify what was the need that you didn't get met when you were young? What do you need to look at? What do you need to explore? Because all of this is unconscious. You're not conscious of this. You're not aware of it. You don't remember it. Nobody teaches you this stuff at school. So I'm going to help you to explore and identify what were the gaps in your growing up that meant that you continued to be emotionally dependent and are still emotionally dependent, waiting for your alcohol-dependent partner to sober up. You see, the point is, if you were really emotionally independent. An emotionally independent person probably would not continue long term in a relationship with someone who was alcoholic. They probably would have got up and gone. So I'm not suggesting you do that, but I am suggesting that you start looking at how dependent you are emotionally. And also some of the things that you believe about yourself. But I don't want this video to go on too long, and I will address those things in the next video. What are the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself that keep you stuck? So I'll catch you in the next video. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.